Hi, my name is Mike and I'm the owner of Cali Lookbook, a real estate photography and videography business. And I've been wanting to make this video for a while to just discuss the types of services that we offer and the equipment that I use to run my real estate photography business. So I wanted to just get right into it. So the biggest services that we offer are photography, videography, 3D modeling, whether that's Matterport or Zilla 3D, as well as drone work, which could be either drone video or photos. And in addition to that, on the back end, we can do virtual staging, virtual twilight, actual twilight as well as a package add-on. And basically the gear that I use the most right here is my gimbal. This is a Sony FX3 with a 16 to 35 millimeter 2.8 lens. The aperture is 2.8. A small rig matte box on the Ronin S2 Gimbal. This one I use almost every single day, and I wanted to break down my setup to show you guys how I have it configured, because it has been such a game changer now that I have this equipment, and it speeds up my workflow, and it's just been super efficient the way that I have it set up. So I'd love to be able to share that information with you guys. I've gone through so many different rigs and have just found that this works so well in so many different scenarios, and I'll explain why. So first off, let's discuss the camera body itself and why I chose the FX3. It's very similar to the A7S III, but this is more a video-centric body in the way that it can be kitted out, and it has a lot of mounting points that are built in, but also it has a bigger body, a much stronger hinge right here where the screen goes, as well as a fan built in. So as far as how long it can last on a shoot, it definitely has a way better chance of not overheating on you than any other camera body in this form factor size. Another huge advantage of going with this body in particular, the Sony FX3 or the Sony A7S III, if that's what you chose, is the dual native ISO of 640 and 12,800. In real estate, you never know what types of scenarios you're gonna be in and how dark or light the house is. So having the ability to go up to 12,800 in your ISO and have the image be completely clean is a huge advantage of this body over any other body in its class. So that is one of the biggest reasons I went with this camera in particular. Is I don't necessarily always have to bring lighting with me. The room could be dark, and being able to bump up my ISO to 12,800 still allows me to get a nice, bright, clean image without having any additional accessories. The next thing I want to go over is my 16 to 35 millimeter 2.8 lens. The reason I chose this lens over the other ones that are available for Sony is because 16 I found is wide enough for most of the things I'm going to shoot, but it also allows me to punch in to get detail shots if I want to show off a feature of the home like the sink or the fireplace, and I can get a lot more reach because I have the 12 to 24, but there's two reasons I don't fly this one on my gimbal, and that's because it doesn't have a nice filter thread on the front, so I can put a matte box or ND filters or things like that. And then also the 24 millimeter reach is okay, but when it comes to wanting to really do a nice detail or have some good bokeh background separation, it's not as much as you would get with this 35 millimeter. And going back to the body, the other advantage with Sony is that you can go into APS-C mode when you're shooting in HD on this camera, and it gives you almost like a 50 millimeter equivalent, and that's something you can't do on any other camera body, though, as seamlessly as it's done on this Sony. So the FX3 with the 16 to 35 is a great combination. So that leads me to my next piece of gear, which is the Small Rig Mini Matte Box Pro, and I'm gonna open it up for you guys so you can see exactly what it does. So this came out pretty recently, and I used to have the standard mini matte box, I still do, but I don't use it as often as I do the Pro, because this one offers sun flare protection on the sides, and also it has these little wings that kind of come out on the top to just really block from all the angles, which this one did not have that ability. And the problem with the shape of it is it's rectangular. So unlike the Polar Pro, which is square, you could turn it around the lens and still block different angles. But this one being rectangular, if you turned it, especially at 16 millimeters, it would start to show a lot of vignetting, or the matte box would actually come up into frame if it wasn't angled perfectly straight. So when they came out with this, it was a no-brainer. I definitely wanted to get this, and I definitely recommend it for anybody that's shooting a lot of dynamic settings where they're outdoors and you don't really know which direction you're going to be shooting or what the lighting condition is going to be. Having a matte box on your system is ideal to just be able to roll with whatever punches you might get. So the next thing that I wanted to discuss is the gimbal itself. I've had every type of gimbal you can imagine, and I've just found that the Ronin RS2 all around has a great build quality. It's lightweight and compact. It has the locking levers, so if you're traveling, they don't flop around or anything. The load capacity that can hold is amazing. I don't know it off the top of my head, but you see my setup right here, and I'm able to put the top handle as well as a microphone on top if I wanted to, and it'll still power on, no issues at all. And I wanted to dive a little bit deeper as to how I have it set up, because I found that it's super ideal for long shoots and for what I do to get the most balance and the most cinematic looking shots from it. So let me bring it a little bit closer and I'll show you. So here you can see I have the SmallRig half cage that's on my FX3, and that has my HDMI cable mounted to the monitor. So my Ronin has the SmallRig side handle. This is actually sold as a dual handle, but I only use it with one handle because I like to keep my other hand on the main part where the joystick is. So I'm able to control the angle of the gimbal as I'm getting smooth sweeping motions. And then on this handle, I actually have the Sony remote, and this one I have customized to be able to pull focus, start and stop recording, use clear image zoom, all of that without even having to touch the camera. So I can literally adjust my shot with the joystick on the gimbal and then control the camera's starting and stopping recording all from right here. Now the reason that I chose to use a remote control over using the built-in cable that comes with the Ronin to start and stop recording is because I found that when you have that cable plugged in and you want to play back for your client, it doesn't allow you to do that without unplugging from the gimbal. So the workflow and the user experience to me wasn't as intuitive, and also it didn't give me the control like the remote does to control my clear image zoom and to also control my C1 button. And I have mine set for C1 to do my APS-C mode, so I can instantly crop in when I need a little bit more reach for a shot. So the next thing I wanted to go over is the monitor itself. It's an OSEE T7 monitor that's 7 inches, 3000 nits, so it's extremely bright in daylight, and it fits perfectly right here in between the gimbal arm and the length of the handle. So I'm able to record and see my screen nice and big right here, and it doesn't obstruct anything on the gimbal. The other huge advantage of this monitor is it's lightweight. I used to have the Ninja 5 that I would use on here, and I found that 5 inches for the monitor was a little bit small, so having the 7 inches is great. And also it didn't get as bright, so I needed a sunshade. So this eliminated the need of having to have a sunshade on top of the monitor, and I can do everything while having a 7-inch screen versus a 5-inch screen. The monitor mount that I use is a UURIG monitor mount that sometimes goes in and out of stock, but when you can find it, it's a great monitor mount because it attaches via NATO rail on the side handle, and it gives you enough expansion away from the handle to be able to put the monitor while still being able to grab both handles and not feel like the monitor's right on top of your thumbs or getting in the way of anything. The next thing that I wanted to discuss is my rear handle setup. So I use the attached rear handle arm that comes with the RS2, but I purchased the SmallRig rear handle that was made for the RS2, so it matches and has like a matching like red stripe that kind of looks similar to the red that's on the RS2. And I also like that it has these 2 1/4 20-inch holes, so using some D-rings, you're able to attach a shoulder strap, and having a shoulder strap has been a game changer for how long you can last on a shoot. It just keeps your gimbal in a nice place on your body, but you can also just let it go and let it rest for a minute when you're talking to your client or scoping out a shot, and then just pick it up, do your thing, and you're good to go. I've also found that having this little baggie attached to the side of my rear handle is great. It's super convenient. Like if I need a white card or a gray card, I keep that folded up in there. I also have like an extra HDMI cable, an extra monitor mount, some Allen wrenches, and other like little flathead tools. So it just kind of makes it convenient so you don't have to run to your bag if something goes wrong, or if you happen to need one of those things, or run to your car. So having this little place to hold it, which I put right here on the D-ring, has just made this setup just super complete. So the last thing that I wanted to point out on my gimbal that I think is actually really important is this little teeny speaker right here. If you ever heard the playback sound from the Sony, even with the volume all the way up, it's almost impossible to hear it. So when you're playing back your scene to your client and they had a speaking part or something like that, it's very awkward to just be looking at the screen and not being able to hear the audio, especially just to know for your own peace of mind that you got the shot and the audio was good too. So I have this plugged in and it's wired using like a little splitter that plugs into the camera, and I can just turn it on right from here when I play back, hear the audio nice and clear. Everybody, even if there's a few people around, everybody can hear it. There's no complaints. Nobody's got to put their ear up to the camera. And it just makes your experience on set so much better, and definitely clients appreciate that. So that's about it for my video rig. If you guys have any questions about that or want more details, just let me know in the comments below. I'd love to answer any questions that you guys have. Moving on from there, I wanted to discuss the camera that I use for photos. Now I'm recording on that camera, so I can't show it to you right now, but I will put some B-roll over it as I break down the parts on it and how I have it set up and what I found to be the best configuration. So you can see this is my A1 setup I was discussing. It has the full cage on it, the speaker, and the Feelworld Lite 5 monitor, which is also 3000 nits, so it's super bright. And this is how I use it when I go on real estate shoots. I have the Manfrotto gear head, which is very awesome. It helps really get precise positioning for your shot. So I definitely like this tripod head. And then my tripod is the 550 carbon fiber, so it keeps the whole setup super lightweight. And this is just a lens that I like to use for talking headshots. It's the Zeiss 35mm 1.4. It's super awesome, very convenient, and it's just a really tight packed powerhouse of a camera. Super high quality images. There's just a lot of amazing features that are built into it that have just improved the quality of my workflow and the quality of the product that I deliver to my clients. It's amazing for photos. It does a great job at bracketing. It has a lot of built-in features that help you get super accurate white balance and exposure. So I'm very heavily invested in Sony. I started with Canon, but just as I grew and learned more, I just found that Sony provided a lot of great products for me to be able to be confident in what I'm able to deliver for my clients. So moving on to the next service that we offer, which is drone. I have two drones. I have a Mavic 2 Pro and I have the Autel Evo Lite Plus. So I really have fallen in love with the Mavic 2 Pro and its capabilities and its images, and it just does the job and does it well. It's been so reliable. It stands up to winds, and I'm just always able to count on it to do a good job. I had the Mavic 3, and after a few shoots, I just felt like I was missing my Mavic 2 and just the confidence that I had in it and what it was able to do. And I just felt like the Mavic 3 really wasn't worth the upgrade and the huge price increase. So I ended up returning it and sticking with my Mavic 2, and I'm just gonna wait to see what comes out next. And the reason I bought the Autel Evo Lite Plus is because I do live in an area where there's a lot of airports, and because I'm doing real estate, I'm constantly traveling to bigger cities and other cities that I'm not sure what the fly zone limits are gonna be. So I bought the Autel Evo Lite Plus because this drone will fly in any restriction areas, no matter what. So rather than having to discount my client or not be able to get the shots that I wanted because it was a no-fly zone, if for any reason I can't fly my Mavic 2 Pro, I have my Autel Evo Lite Plus, and it's able to do the job for me for backup. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a great drone. It could definitely be your main drone, but I just preferred the Mavic 2, and that's the one that I use most of the time. So this is my backup drone. It has 8-bit video instead of 10-bit from the Mavic, so that's probably why I lean more heavily towards the Mavic. But the image sizes and the image quality for photos are pretty much identical. So now the last thing I wanted to discuss was 3D service. I offer Matterport as well as Zillow 3D. Those are probably the two most popular. There's a ton of variations, a ton of other companies out there that are doing something similar, but just find what works for you. And obviously find a camera that obviously works with that service as well. But what I found to be super good quality while not breaking the bank is the Theta Z1. This is about a $1,000 camera, but it's compatible with both Zillow 3D and Matterport. So you can do both services with this one camera and it comes out great. It's a full 1-inch sensor, so it lets tons of light in, and it's a 23 megapixel sensor. So your images do look great as you spin through and you're looking at the image standing in the room. It's super high quality and wouldn't be able to really tell the difference unless you're zooming in a ton between this and the $3,500 Matterport camera. The way I have this set up is on a Manfrotto VR 360 tripod, and it has like a little anchor battery bank. So if it's ever low on power, I can literally just put this cable up, plug it in, and still run and do the job even with it plugged into power. And the great thing is the footprint of this is super small. So if you're scanning staircases, this is small enough to fit on one step. And it's a very small form factor. It's super lightweight, so it makes doing the 3D tours a breeze when you're actually in the field out there doing them. So that's it for me, guys. I hope you found this video informative, and I hope it was helpful and may have answered questions you might have had about cameras or gear. I look forward to doing more videos like this in the future, so please subscribe to my channel. And if you want to see some of my work, feel free to check out the other videos on my channel. I post a lot of my real estate videos here, so you guys are free to check those out. Reach out to me, message me, however you want to connect, and I'd be happy to answer any more questions for you. But until next time, thank you for watching. Take care. So one last thing I almost forgot. As I was packing up, I wanted to discuss the audio equipment that I use, and I was on it, so I forgot. But this is the new DJI Mics, and I just wanted to say they are fantastic. They're super tiny mic pack. The setup is amazing. It's so easy. Everything comes in this nice little portable case, and you can charge it. It literally lasts a long time. Like, this case will charge it 4 additional times if the batteries are depleted, or 5 additional times, I think. So haven't had any issues. It's so easy to just toss it in your bag, and you don't necessarily need to use it with a lav mic, but I like this setup just because it's a lot simpler, and then you don't have this dangling on your shirt or something. But you could use it without it. I use the SHURE mics because I found that there's no interference with them. They connect super easy. But another additional feature about these mics that it's nice is they do have a clip on the back, so you can clip it to your shirt, but also there's this little teeny magnet right here. So if you wanted to, you can just use the magnet, and that's all that kind of peeks out. Obviously the weight will drag your shirt down, so I just don't like that look. I use the lavs, but this is easy to put in a pocket, or if you're shooting a man that has like a jacket or a woman that has like a collar, you can always tuck it underneath the collar and just use a magnet. So they're super great. I definitely recommend them for the price. I have Sennheiser mics that are like $600 each, and these ones you get 2 for half that price, and they do a fantastic job. So that was my rant on that, and I'll see you in the next video.